In the far future, faster-than-light travel is possible via portals called stiffworks. Human and alien civilizations travel this way for millennia. Trade, war, and technology proliferate. Countless societies rise, thrive, fall, and vanish. Eventually, almost everyone forgets the secrets of the stiffworks. Almost. 300 years ago, the worshipful company of Stillfleeters is formed on Spindle, a space station of unknown origin. They send fleeters into the void using stiffworks in search of profit. It is 100 million years in the future. Welcome to Float City.
Previously on Float City, the crew is tasked by the Saffron Anax, an extra-dimensional trade lord headquartered on Rigamont A, with looking into the activities of Zeshtano Novell, high-level factor for the Co, who has, he says, been delaying his paperwork. After some escapades on the Snake Man Mall planet Narcosa, they crash land on Kakudun, the politically tense single-continent world which Zeshtano calls home. They road trip to the central region, the Jash, and its largest city, No Laster. There, they find Novell dead in her apartment. Vynos decides to reweave, travel back in time to learn the identity of the murderer. 2 days earlier, he sees Zeshtano menaced by her apparent colleague, a Molruk man she calls Boo, and try as he might to resist the temptation, he cannot. Vynos intervenes, springing from his hiding place, and kills Boo with a shotgun blast to the back. We join the rest of the team now, 2 days in Vynos' future, in Zeshtano's apartment, in front of her dead body, just as he begins his reweave. Beta, as you are watching Vynos, waiting for him to disappear, the surroundings around you, the color from them starts to drain, and it sort of starts to become metallic, and the surface of everything begins to shimmer as though it's slightly liquidy. Everything becomes fluid, kind of bulbous, like it's kind of sagging and growing under the weight of its own contents. So the shelves and the bookshelf kind of start to sag, but so do the books, and they grow and they sort of start to look like almost balloons filled with water or something. Like there's some weird imperceptible membrane that's holding everything in shape as it expands and starts to fill with liquid. And as it all sags, it also all starts to congeal and become one big undifferentiated mass. All the colors are leaking into one another. You can see where all of Zeshtano Novell's dresses were kind of start to bleed into the posters that were on the wall, and all the books start to bleed together into this weird brown mass, and then it all kind of forms together and the colors just fade, and you're looking at this dull, infinite, semi-reflective gray. You recognize this surface from when you were underground at Zenthra. You then feel, for a moment, like you often do in a dream, like you're falling, but you catch yourself immediately. The gray goo becomes perfectly reflective, like you're looking at a mirror again. And you see yourself, as you did when you were underground in Zenthra. Except, instead of facing yourself like a mirror, you're looking at your own back. You and your reflection are facing in the same direction. And instead of an infinite hazy gray plane, like what you saw when you did the quartering, you can see that you are, or your avatar, your reflection, is in a room on Spindle. You hear the hiss of the air circulators in Spindle. You hear the rumble of the power system. You can feel the floor is rough underneath, as the floors on Spindle all are. You can see, to your right, a long moss wall. The room is big. There's a set of freestanding bookshelves to your left, and the far wall is covered in mechanical clocks. There are dozens of them in various sizes. They're all set to the same time. They're all ticking along happily. Towards the right of that wall, there's a small desk with tools and several disassembled timepieces. Next to it, closer to you, a set of shelves covered in small diorama. And under those shelves, a similarly sized bench of tools. You can see tiny figures of a man and a woman. They stand on a small bridge overlooking a small pond. You see yourself seeing these things. You are not looking at these things yourself. It's almost like you are looking through the eyes of yourself, almost like what we might describe as like, it's almost like virtual reality. You feel like you can control this avatar of yourself. Like you can ask it to do things. You can speak as or through it, however you would like to imagine it. Sort of like you're playing a game of life that you are one step removed from. What do you do?
I look over to my left where the dioramas are, and I get a closer look. What are these dioramas of?
They are all scenes from romantic comedies. So whatever you have spent your time working on in Spin, it's here. I'm not well versed enough in romantic comedies to be able to pull scenes like right from memory.
It's gotta be. It's gonna be people meeting with friends out of airport gates from the beginning and end of Love Actually.
Yeah.
It's
There's
gonna be
John
the
Cusack
space.
and-
Yes.
Yeah, there's John Cusack and I forget her name, both going for the gloves at the same time at Bloomingdale's.
There's the Space Needle rendezvous with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And again, Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks in Central Park with a golden retriever on a bridge.
There's the train. There's the train scene from Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
There's the deli scene from When Harry Met Sally.
Yes, Katz's Deli. Yes.
So there you go. That's they're all here.
Some of the
arranged very
dresses
nicely.
from 27 Dresses.
Yes.
Yes.
Was it 27?
A couple of the
That was
dates
correct.
from 51st Dates.
Oh, that one I didn't like.
Yeah, you recognize that they're all definitely your work.
And then she turns over to the moss wall.
Yeah.
And then she's like putting the pieces together of where she is and her stuff being there. And then she goes and looks at, there's a picture frame, you said?
You go over to the like section of the bookshelves that has like more stuff on it and fewer books, and there are some stand-up pictures of a woman you don't recognize who's older. She's got like sort of purple skin, and she has her arm around a younger man who also has purple skin, and he's got a very square jaw, and he has like very neatly coiffed silver hair. And as you are looking at this, you see him, that same man, but a much older version of him, walk through a door that has been like cut into the black rock of Spin from another room in this arrangement of room blobs. Same purple skin. You can't see his chin anymore because it's got a thick layer of almost microscopic beetles on it. He still has that silver gray hair. It is tall, it is shiny, it is slick, and he smiles big when he sees you, and he hands you a warm cup of green liquid with a long, thin piece of metal sticking out of it. And he says, "Dear, you look as though you're lost. Having another one of your, what did you call them last time? Visits?"
And then, so I can still kind of control her. I pour the liquid on myself, on my avatar. It says, "Whoopsies, whoopsies! Oh, where can I get a napkin? I'm so clumsy."
As if like to predict what you are going to do. As you say whoopsie, so does Algar, who you are standing in front of. And he looks at you, sort of like shakes his head, and he's like, "You know, you don't need to do that anymore. We've been together for long enough. You no longer need to play the games." And he runs back. He goes back into the kitchen and comes back with a towel and starts cleaning up. And he says, he looks at you and he says, "I told you that you don't have to get upset anymore. What you did was right. It's okay."
Now, how much am I feeling like I'm in there versus like in a dreamlike state? Like, how much do I feel like that Beta would be actually like feeling like she was in control of things?
You have total agency, but recognize this as something that is happening at a remove. So the way that I would describe that is you feel as though you are in control, but that it is unlikely you would get physically hurt, if that makes sense.
So Beta's recognizing that this is part of the quartering. This is one of her visits. So she is extremely excited, right? Because she loves Algar, and she's not sure if this is predicting the future or if it's just showing what she wants in the future, but she doesn't care. And so she looks straight at Algar and she goes, "Oh, many years together."
Yeah, it's been maybe 5 at this point. Are you sure you're feeling all right? Would you like to lie down?
No, I would not like. Wow. Okay, we kept the moss wall. I see. What did you just say before you said I did the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, I know how much guilt you've told me several times, how much guilt you have over what happened to your colleagues, whatever you would like to call them, and I just, you know how I feel, but it bears repeating that I don't think it was your fault, and I think you did the right thing. And I mean, really, not to sound like a broken record, but what were you going to do? Were you going to stay a fleeter your whole life? Were you going to consort with people like Remy and that Jalasti child? I don't think so. You look at you now. You're an archivist. You have terminal access.
Wow. And you are my boyfriend?
He leads you through the wall that he just walked through, and you see a very modest spin kitchen, and then he leads you through another hole in the wall in that room to a modest spin bedroom, and he just sits you down on the bed, and he sits next to you, and on one of the end tables you see a little picture of you and Algar in front of like a weird black kind of trellis thing, and there is an unhuman standing between you, and you are wearing whichever famous rom-com wedding dress you would like to wear.
Julia Roberts' dress from Runaway Bride, please.
There we go.
Yeah. With the sneakers.
Yeah.
On a horse.
And it's weird, that's how every wedding on Spin is.
I hope that's canon.
He sits you down and he says, I never know what to think when you get this way. Sometimes you act like you don't know what has happened, or like you would like for things to be different. And I think that, for me at least, I am very glad that Cracked and the Anox saw things our way, and that you made the choice that you did. You know, if there's one thing that we learn as archivists, it's that you have to put yourself ahead of the pack. No one will do it for you. And look at the life that we have made. We have nothing to regret, and you don't need to be ashamed of any of it.
Beta's taking this all in. She can't get over that they're married. She's trying to process the information that she maybe did something, left her fleeters behind. And she goes, and she leans into Algar and she goes, and we kiss?
Algar grabs your head in his hands. He puts both of his hands on either sides of your head.
And we kiss.
You close your eyes, and it's not black, but dull gray. The feeling of Algar's presence in front of you gets cold. Like, it's not gone, but it kind of like gets sort of chilly, and then it gets light, and then it fades. And there's like a dull kind of almost wind, like a breeze. And you start to hear like the sound of the air circulators changes, and it gets kind of cold. not just like a cool breeze on your face, but like your body is now a little cold. Do you open your eyes? It's morning. You are in a seaside village. You are on a beach. There is a fire in front of you that has been either put out or has gone out sometime in the last several hours. The memory of what just happened is dim. It's like a dream, you know, like you have it clear now, but you can feel it retreating. The last thing that you remember clearly is sitting down with Remy and Vynos to take some weird drug that apparently makes you see stuff that had actually or would actually happen. And now, here you are on this beach. Sitting across from you is Remy. There is no Vynos in sight.
Whoa. Remy?
Yo, what's up? You look a little green. I mean, not actually, just seem kind of green because I know your face isn't really you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't have any color to my face.
It's perfectly silver. I don't understand it.
I need a piece of paper. I need paper. Do you have paper? Do you have pens, paper?
Remy's rummaging through his pack.
Yeah, there you have some pens and you have like something that approximates a notebook and a pen in there.
Sure. Yeah, and he hands it over.
Beta is scribbling down any detail that she can remember as she feels it slipping away from her.
Roll will.
Oh, a 6.
You have written down a pretty good approximation of what you saw. You get, if not it exactly, then a very faithful rendition of it.
Good there, bud?
Huh. What? I just saw a lot.
Yeah, chirping pretty hard, huh? Yeah, it's cool. Drugs are cool.
Oh. How was your experience?
Oh yeah, it was pretty. I mean, it was an experience for sure. You know.
Huh. To them, do they know what day it is? Where are they? Like, I guess I'm getting lost in like what is known as.
You are back at the village in the northwest of Kakudun, where the big drink wranglers live.
Where you put the old lady in the playground.
Where you put the old lady in the playground.
Where you were exactly 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And do I have any recollection of a quartering?
No.
You do not.
I have no memory of the quartering, but I'm like, I was just on a drug with Remy.
You took some weird drugs, yeah.
Okay.
At least the lore of the drugs is that it shows things that have happened or will happen. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Enough sense?
Yes.
Right. It's morning, just about 2 days previous to when you were in Zeshno Novelle's apartment where you found her dead. The last thing you remember is taking drugs the night before. In your memory, Beta, and in your memory, Remy, you have not yet gone to Zenthra. You have not yet gone through the Jash. You have not arrived in No Laster. None of that has happened yet.
Did Gunch happen?
I mean, Remy is addicted to Gunch.
Okay,
yes.
I just wanted to know if we're pre-Gunch or post-Gunch.
Yes, Remy is addicted to Gunch.
But no,
yes.
we are back on the beach. We have not finished digging out the dune buggy from the sand or anything.
Correct. Actually, I believe Oat and Merkis had spent last night putting the finishing touches on the Ambler, loading it up with some red plant, and getting all of their things ready. Like, now that it's morning, you all have basically agreed to go.
Merkis is walking up and fanning his underarms. Like, I'm still not even recovered from the red plant I tried yesterday. I don't know how all of you are trying new substances. How are you feeling, Beta?
Oh, I'm gonna have to check back in with you on that.
What was it like?
It was great, but maybe also bad.
You didn't get stuck anywhere, did you?
No, I did not get stuck anywhere. And yes, I am still in love with a refactor.
Oh.
Well, you're about to be in love with
this breakfast I got from the little store in the town over there. Hey, everybody, that's right. I'm back. It's me, Oat, at the top of the dune. No, look at me up here. Hello. Look, I found this. It's some kind of, I think it's a kind of bread they get hot in some way.
Yo, hot bread? Let me in on that.
Well, you're going to want to... Whoa, Vynos isn't back yet?
Yeah, where's Vynos?
I don't know. He was here, but you know how he is. He's got his he doesn't call it magic, but we know it is.
Wait,
no, I mean, when I figured he just went for an early morning walk. When I got up this morning, I didn't see him. I bought him some of the hot bread in case he'd be back, but I guess he's not. I was kind of worried about the guy.
I don't know. I was zonked.
Huh. But Vynos took the same amount as us, didn't he?
Maybe he got stuck.
Oh, no.
Look, I'm not worried at all. Like, we know that Vynos can, like, do things like travel through time and shit. Like,
do you think this is hell science?
It's gotta be, right? Like, I mean, hey, look, if he got stuck somewhere and some when, I'm pretty sure he'd be able to get back, right? Like, he knows what he's doing.
Merkis is scratching his tummy, thinking really hard. I wonder if he can talk to Deep River this way.
Okay, I mean, you've known him longer than I have, so I'm going to take your word for it that everything is all right. But
Hey, Beta, should we be worried? I don't think we should be worried.
This doesn't feel good to me.
I mean, I think let's give him the morning, and if he doesn't show up, maybe then worry.
All right. That means more hot bread for each of us.
It's your girl Jen, and I'm here interrupting the show to tell you about Patreon. If you are loving our story, production value, and goddamn incredible sound design, become a chummer for just $5 American per month. That's 4.28 euros, 523 yen, or 106 pesos. For 0.00037 bitcoins, you get access to fun/float chatty, our inside baseball show about every episode, an invite to our Discord, which has channels called Chumbler and the Cone of bonus content, and top secret cold storage archive and cyberpunk-themed Spotify playlist that I personally update every Tuesday. Come on, why don't you join us at patreon.com/FunCityVentures. Again, that's patreon.com/FunCityVentures.
Beta is she's out of it, and she's thinking about, what Algar said and talking about, like, leaving the team behind and the Anox looking favorably on her. And she's seeing Vynos is gone. She's just like a little unsettled, and she's looking at the ground for footprints. And she's like, there are no footprints here.
So I guess really he weird. Did do the hell science vanish sort of thing.
He must have, right?
Yeah, if we need some answers, we ought to get to a company outpost.
Yeah.
Perhaps Vynos knows to go there.
Sure. Yeah.
The crew sits on the beach in the rising sun and around the smoldering fire. Their breakfast is somber, and they perk up at any sound of snapping twigs or approaching footsteps. But none of them belong to Vynos. They briefly canvass the town, quietly calling their disappeared team member's name as the sea folk rise from sleep to begin their grueling day. They pack up the ambalier. Remy rides shotgun, Beta is on the roof, and Oat in a bumper seat. The engine whirs to life, and the onboard navigation system asks for a destination. Merkis keys in, company embassy, no laster, the Jash, and it plots a course. On their way out of town, a nice, old, big drink wrangler informs them that the rest of Kakadun isn't as safe as the village, and they should be careful. But the driver, a young, skittish Jalasti, speeds off before he can say how best to avoid the bone snatch. Raider country. back at Zeshtino's apartment, slightly earlier in the morning. Vynos, you have just killed a Mulrook that was going to kill Zeshtino Novell. It falls over on top of her. You wrestle it off of her, and she scrambles for, she is moving her arm around, and you can see that she's reaching into a pocket on the side of her pants. Uh-oh. And she moves her arm around the Mulrook, who's kind of still leaning on her, and she brandishes this long, curved, bright, shining silver knife at you from the ground. She's still on her back. She's holding it up and pointing it at you, and she shouts, "And who the fuck are you?"
Okay, I understand this is strange. I'm not a person that lives in your closet. It's the first time I've ever been there. It's not a habit. I am...
She's backing up, and she's pulling her legs out from underneath the body, and she's got her back up against the back of her couch.
I still have a shotgun in my hand, so this is probably not helping. But I'm like, Vynos lies sumptuara at your service. And just as he kind of does a small bow, he notices the shotgun in his hand, and he says, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm from the company." And he holsters his shotgun.
She is still holding her knife up, and she says, "I can see that you are wearing a standard issue spin exosuit. Why are you in my apartment?"
Well, it is a long story, but it did involve time travel, and I did change time. I don't know if you know the rules of changing events past.
She starts to put the knife down, and she looks at you and she says, "You're a Tremulant."
Yes.
How far ahead should you be?
2 days' time.
And she's looking at the dead body, and she's looking up at you. What was going to happen?
This person was going to succeed in his aim.
Where you come from? When you come from?
Yes.
I'm dead.
Yes.
Shit.
And I'm afraid we don't have much time before whoever this person was working for finds out that he was not successful. We must make haste.
She stands up and she puts her knife back in her weird side tool pocket thing. There's a little holster in there. She walks over to her desk. She puts her head in her hands. She's you can tell she's thinking really hard. She's clearly trying to get a grasp on the situation. She turns back around and she looks at you and she says, "In your time, does Millen know that I'm dead?"
No one knows of your death except for myself now.
When you found me, were you alone?
I was not. But they now know what they do now.
What?
They now know what they know now, not what they knew then in the future.
Right. That timeline has been obviated.
Yes. Here is how I see this situation. There are many ways to approach problems in time, and this one involves a few factors. One of them is our only allies are on the trail here. I know all of the details of their trip up to this point. If no new information or events are to lead them astray from that path, I don't know who involved in the company is conspiring with the people that tried to kill you, so they can know nothing. No one can know anything about my travel in time or my interception. Only us two can, and you must take it to your grave. You must follow me to where we were a day ago, to the quartering. Cover your face, and let's make haste. Now.
As you're saying this, she's looking at you and she's regarding you with a bit of skepticism. And she says, "You're going to have to forgive me. I am not jumping to leave my apartment with a man who has time traveled into it.
Yes.
I realize that you have saved my life, and for that I am greatly thankful. I think there's a few more things we need to get out of the way before we talk about what happens next. I've been in your shoes before. Not your shoes. I've never traveled through time, but I have done field work. So I have some experience dealing with
field work,
things like this.
Okay, yes, field work.
You said that someone was working with Boo, and she points at the dead Mulrook on the ground.
No, I said someone could be working with Boo. I'm afraid I don't have much information, and that's why we must keep what I've done a secret. That's why we can't talk to anyone. And that's why, for all intents and purposes, you must be dead to the world for the next 2 days, because you have been dead to the world for the next 2 days. Is that understood? Do you understand the problems that can come from you being seen or heard or known about in the next 2 days?
Yes. To which I would say, we can't leave. Do you have any reason to believe that your coworkers would go anywhere else than here and not arrive here at the time that they are, and she does quote fingers, supposed to?
Yes, I am not there because I am here. So there were some trials on the way to find you, and I was involved in those trials. So the closer we can get from their start of journey, which they will be beginning this morning, the safer we will be. The only other reason why I would say we cannot stay here is that I don't know if Boo is alone in his mission. I doubt he is. Maybe you could tell me about that. But any suspicion you have could be wrong as well, and more people could come to kill you and us.
She looks at you and she says, absolutely not. We have already made too big of a change in the timeline. You have killed someone. We have no idea what things he should be out in the world doing. The best we can hope is that the wound that I gave him with my knife, and she points at the body, and you can see that it's like there's a lot of blood coming out from the side of him, that he hobbled out of here with that, went back to wherever he lives, and died in his chair. Didn't go out to meet his friends, didn't go out to kill anyone else. It's too risky for us to leave. We can stay here for 2 days, can wait for your friends to arrive. We will be sure at that point that the timelines are aligned and we are safe to plan and think about what we are doing next. Are we going to have to stay in this room with a dead body for 2 days? Yes. Are we going to have to potentially fight someone off who comes and checks on Boo? Possibly. But I think those chances are better than us going out into the world and obviating more timelines. If my experience is any indication, we're going to waste tons of time and energy trying to find your friends, and then, I imagine, trying to find who engineered all of this. Eventually, if they think nothing's wrong, and I admit that this is a big if, they'll come to us.
Yes.
I have been dead for 2 days. I have to be dead for the next 2 days.
You speak with wisdom. I suppose the plan that flashed in my eyes of calling you my sister Barbara and leading you around like a simpleton was maybe made in haste. I should have composed myself before speaking.
Well, get ready to compose yourself again because you're staying with me.
Okay, well then.
I can't have you out there causing more trouble, making things happen, changing stuff. We have to trust your team that they're gonna stay on the course and that they'll be here when they're supposed to be here. We need things to go as close to exactly as they went then now. So yes. No brain talking, no howling lamp stuff. Don't pick up the phone until they're here. They can't know.
I understand. There are dangers in staying here. There are dangers in leaving. But the ones in staying here I see clearly in my mind. I mean, I hope that everyone is more complimentary of Beta, obviously, during her quartering. And there's also a matter of a frogman with a cannon. But I do trust them. So we must remain. Please, tell me your tale.
It's kind of a long story, but I guess we have some time.
That's perfect. Vynos shows himself to the kitchen. He begins preparing some popcorn. He puts on some tea. He's looking through her clothes to see if she's got some like a warm robe or something.
There is. Yeah, there's something. There's like a nice sort of caftan, open caftan in there.
He looks at her kind of, she's looking at him a little bit askance. He says, do you mind?
No, I guess not.
Okay, great. How do you take your tea, dear?
Just black is fine.
Okay.
So, you're sure you can keep a secret?
Yes, it's kind of my whole life.
Boo was a pirate. I've been working with the pirates to divert shipments of guns coming into Kakudun through the company and through a few other trade routes. And I've been doing that for a couple years in an attempt to, I don't know, buy some time, I guess. Do what I can while everyone is just getting all sort of hot and bothered about what's happening in the Southeast. And she looks at you like sort of quizzically, like she's forgotten something, or like she's sorry. She's like, sorry, you're not from around here. The whole continent is on the brink of war.
Yes. Seems to be the pirates versus the governing body here.
Well, so there are two countries in the southeast. One of them is called Hauktik and the other one is called Thwolf, and it's an ancient it's like a very, very old conflict that's been going on for a very long time. And I mean, the long story short is that it's kind of just pervaded all of Kakudunai culture. That what side you're on is part of who you are, part of the state that you are a citizen of. Everybody has their take on the conflict, why it's lasted as long as it has, who is in the right, what sort of demilitarization tactics can and should work. And the pirates are part of this larger puzzle. Sometimes they cause trouble, but mostly they just are trying to benefit from the conflict. And the ones that I work with, there's a bunch, the ones that I work with are very trustworthy. I mean, as long as you can keep paying them, but I work for the company, so I can. You know, they've actually done a lot of good in making sure that weapons don't get into the hands of people who are just gonna start a war with them.
But you're also arming the pirates, correct?
They've done actually a really good job of just keeping them in a storehouse on Grapha. Yes, we have now, over the years, given them a large enough storehouse that some of them are skimming off the top and selling them, but that's hard to control, and also, honestly, a much lower influx of weaponry than would be the case otherwise, so I'm fine with it.
And how does the trade between the lovers and Kakadun come into this?
Why are you asking about the lovers? I mean, I have an answer for you, but...
It was the reason we were sent here to speak with you, is to understand why the trade was being blocked or at least met with some resistance. It's part of my mission.
She is sipping her tea that you have handed her. She has both of her hands around the mug and she's squinting at you. Who sent you?
Well, it is complicated. This is kind of a favor we're doing to protect ourselves, but as long as we're keeping secrets. In truth, it wasn't the company who added this to our mission, but rather we are trying to protect our safety in visiting you. And when I say me, I mean me and my team. We are being blackmailed by the Saffron and Nox. We don't aim to get in any way of you or the company. We were simply requested to get information, and that's what I attempted to do. If you're saying it's inconsequential to our safety here, or you're dealing with the pirates, then I'm happy to leave it.
You were sent here on the night I was killed by the Saffron and Nox.
No, he didn't. It wasn't the same night. We've been doing other company work for several days now.
She's looking into her tea and she's like shaking her head. And she says, no. This isn't a coincidence. She gets up and she goes over to her desk and she starts rummaging around on her desk. And she's like flipping all the papers around and she's looking for something. She pulls up this big, like stapled printout that's got a big cover on it. And you can see, it's got some like red lines on the front of it. And she's flipping through it and you can see all of these notes in it. And she says, I've been delaying this paperwork because it's just, I don't like it. It's really fishy. And I figured that the archivist who was pushing it had like a skim operation or something going on. And, it's not an uncommon thing. You see it a lot. Some comfortable pet of, the guys in charge at Spin, they set up a bloated contract. They divert goods from places where they're needed to places where they'll fetch more money. They cram it in and around all these other deals. And then, of course, because they're powerful, they get to approve their own paperwork. So, it's easy to hide if no one looks at it. But I mean, that's my job, to look at the paperwork. But they had to have known that. And I mean, they definitely know that there are ways for them to just ram this through approvals without having to deal with me. They have every other time, and every other time they've done it without so much as threatening me, let alone trying to murder me. If you said the Anox himself sent you to come check on me, this is about way more than this trade deal. It absolutely has to be. He said to you, Zeshta no Novel.
Yes. He wants to know why you're blocking the trade between the lovers and Kakadun.
I don't like that.
Who is the archivist that is putting through this paperwork?
She throws the stack of papers to you and it like flutters and flips in the air. When you catch it and sort of put it all back together, you can see that the main signatory is Archivist Hract.
Yes. We spoke with Hract recently. He had some interest that he didn't quite express in our travels. And Vynos continues to look through this. Is there anything in here that would be something that would just, be way outside the norm in terms of what the, an archivist or what the company would typically want, approve, try to push through in terms of trade?
I think it's hard for you to tell because you don't necessarily look at this kind of paperwork that often. This is a huge trade deal between the company directly and it seems like the Saffron Anox. Whatever his holding company on Rigamont B is. You don't really know, but looking through, you definitely can see that in the manifest, the things that are being traded to Kakadun, there are a lot of weapons. There are a lot of finished goods, and a lot of them are clank rifles, laser pistols, and various other armaments.
Son of a thorn weaved Vyusen.
Oh, no, he didn't. Jeez. Take it back.
Zestino looks shocked that you'd say that in her house.
This bastard is working with him. It's plain as day. And look at these weapons. This is enough to start a whole war.
What did they say? What did they tell you to do? You weren't supposed to kill me.
No. We were supposed to simply get information from you. A basic understanding of what your objection would be to standard trade that had gone on for a while, as it was described to me.
If they wanted to go around me, they could. So something's going on here.
If they wanted to go around you, and they could, why didn't they?
It seems, pardon the pun, overkill to send someone to off me.
I think what we know is that they want their machines to move, and you do not. And if you saw that they went around you, you could raise suspicions. You maybe knew too much and showed that by objecting.
So then just kill me. Why send you? Did they know I was going to die and you're just going to confirm that I'm dead? They could have anybody planetside do that. They don't need to extort someone from Spin and make them go on this, what sounds like a sort of involved journey.
Maybe they seek to pin the crime on us.
But why?
If I could back up a bit, why did this boo want you dead?
You got me He came in, he said he didn't care about the deal. If I were to guess, I mean, I know that some of the pirates don't agree with what we're doing, and they don't like being told to store the weapons so that people can't use them. And I know that many of the pirates who feel that way are Mulrook and Fex and Desmundu, the indigenous sapients, because they want all of the provincial civilizations here to fall, because this is their home and we have taken it. And I can't, I mean,
so a war.
I can argue with them. I don't want to. Yeah.
So a war between these two nations means that even if they both lose, the indigenous peoples win.
Some of the, what you might call like accelerationist freedom fighters, they sometimes call themselves anarchists. They want to hasten conflict because they think that all of us fighting one another will ultimately benefit them. I don't know that I think they're right, but I don't have a good argument either way. I just know that I don't want to see people shooting at one another. I'm trying to do what I can within my power, which is just as some refactor on the subcommittee for Kakudun. What can I do? I can divert shipments of things. And I guess up until recently, I thought that I was doing that without arousing suspicion. I have a number of people who are working with me in the company and some of the pirates. I thought we were doing it quietly, but...
Seems to me that you are the finger in the dike of war. It seems that the Saffron and Nox, and with him, perhaps, members in the company itself, these two great nations, and even perhaps some contingent of these pirates, all are thirsting for it, clawing for it.
And there's a dead Mulrook in my apartment.
Well, yes.
No, I mean, politically, this looks very bad. I am a high-up company employee.
Right.
And there is a dead indigenous Kakudunai sapient in my apartment.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I shot one in the head a few days ago, but I'm not going to do it now, obviously. I know that the reason I went back in the first place was not to save you, unfortunately, but to see the killer so that we could prove our innocence. In a moment of weakness, I did save you, and I'm glad I did now, but it does make our lives more complicated.
I don't know that I would describe that as weakness, but I understand where you're coming from. Well, we are going to have plenty of time to maybe puzzle more of this out over the next couple days. How do you feel about crossword puzzles?
Oh boy, goody.
Zeshno approaches her large bookshelf and pulls out a thick, worn tome. She flips to an unsolved puzzle towards the back and thuds it down on her modest kitchen table. She gets 2 perfectly sharpened pencils from her desk. Over the next days, Vynos and Zeshno read, puzzle, and puzzle over their situation. Vynos sleeps on the floor, or simply doesn't. Once or twice, Beta calls. She tries to ether speak with Vynos, and it takes every ounce of concentration for him to empty his mind until she disconnects, which is not soon. He worries what she must think, calling into what seems a dead line.
So, I think that maybe the second day or end of the first or something, we decided it would be better if we could move this person somewhere else in the apartment to get him out of the way. When I do that, we realize that this is a freshly killed person. Nobody's gone through anything, and so we look through his pockets and see things. And do I find anything on Boo?
Yeah, his pockets are basically like full of garbage. Like he had a holster for his knife. He's got another shorter knife on the other side of his belt. His pockets are full of, he's got gilder, he's got coin, he's got what seems like loose tobacco or like a loose smoking plant of some kind. There's a couple bottle caps. His vest that he was wearing that has like patches on it and stuff has a lot of pockets, and you go through them and you find pens and pencils, and you find wood shavings, and you find small smooth stones, and you find some gunch. And in one of the pockets you actually do find something that's a little characteristic, and it's a folded up, it's like a very neatly folded up yellow piece of paper. Do you unfold the piece of paper?
Yes.
It unfolds to probably about like half of a standard like 8.5 by 11 A4 sheet, and it's a very crudely photocopied or like mimeographed, however they would do it here, maybe like a block print of some kind, flyer that says in big letters at the top, "The Co is lying." It's the company seal, but it's drawn in the middle in such a way that it looks more spiny and more sort of viney and aggressive than you, I think, would normally think of it as being. It looks much more threatening. And there are a lot of small blocks of text that are ostensibly like claiming to describe the true intentions of the Co on Kakudun. And it all basically amounts to, they want you subjugated. They are modern slavers. They do not have the interest of Kakudun at heart, and letting them become more powerful will only result in greater turmoil for the masses. And there's some stuff that like I think maybe doesn't make a lot of sense to you because you don't fully grasp the bizarre geopolitical situation, but it seems like it's suggesting that if the Co becomes more powerful, then they are going to become an entrenched and unstoppable, basically world government on Kakudun.
Right.
And it seems like most of these things are written for pirates.
So, this kind of piques Vynos' interest, and he uses a Speak with Steel to figure out who made it and who last used it. I have to burn a grit or 3 health and then touch the object, and then I roll a reason and I add my level. My reason is 12 and my level is 2 right now, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So I rolled a 9.
So which do you want to know? Who last used it, how it came to exist, or how it really works? Yeah.
Vynos determines that it's most likely going to consider the person who last used it would be Boo, because all you have to do is read a flyer to use it.
To be a user.
So I think that the only real thing of interest here is learning the details of how it was made.
You are holding the piece of paper and you sort of start to focus in on it to try to speak to it. And from surprisingly close, actually, a lot of times when you talk to things, it's as though a voice is coming at you through the void, or like it's approaching from a distance. Mm-hmm. But this one right away is right up front, and it goes, "Yeah, hey, what's up? What?
Hello.
Yeah, what can I do for you, my friend?"
Hey, well, I was interested in knowing who made this flyer and how it was made.
Who made yours truly, this guy, the one you're talking to?
Yes,
right?
You. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes.
Who made me?
Yes.
That is a great question. I came from a print shop. You know what a print shop is?
Yes, it's a shop where things are printed.
You got it's not my man's first time talking to a flyer.
Yes.
Run by this guy. He's real nice, real great guy. He's you know what a big drink wrangler is?
No, I don't. Please refresh my memory.
It's like a waitin'. They're from Kakudun in the northwest.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, wait, yes.
Yeah, he's runs a shop on Graffa. You know Graffa?
I have heard of the name. Yes, Graffa. Yes.
Yeah. The pirate island in the Dark Sea.
Yes. What was his name?
I'm not sure that I know. People not walking around just saying their name to the objects that are nearby.
Sure. What do you know?
I guess
the name
it is
of the
strange
shop?
that I know the name of the. I know, yes. and the island that. Okay, you make a convincing argument.
Yes.
Hold on. This is just generating a name for a waitin' just takes a second.
Yes, it does. That's not instant.
Oh yeah, his name's Crispy Mold Slider.
Ah yes, Crispy Mold Slider. I'm sure he came from good stock. Okay, and what was the name of the shop again?
As you might come to find out if you deal more with pirates, it seems to me like it's maybe my man's first time dealing with pirate stuff. Not a lot of business names.
Ah, I see. Yes, he's the Brent shop. A simpler time. Yes, that's great. All right. Well, how are you? Are you feeling okay? Do you need anything?
I mean, it's great to be out of that pocket. And looking around here, it looks like there's a lot of space for paper goods on the walls. So if you wanted to hang me up in a place of honor, I would not complain.
All right. Well, I'll talk to the owner about that. But I promise to put in a good word for you.
Oh, that means a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And until next time.
Until next. The voice fades into the void.
Yes.
Zestino looks at you and she's like, what are you doing?
Oh, sorry. Yes. This paper, we probably need to put it up on the wall. Yes, it was printed in a pirate print shop on Grappa, owned by a man named Crispy Moldslider.
And she takes the paper from you and flips around. She says, oh, yeah, a lot of the pirates, there are these campaigns that happen that they're doing that are like anti-co. They're, it's like there's the people trying to convince them that like the company is in a way a stabilizing force, which like we talked about, they don't like. They would rather things be destabilized because they think it's going to hasten sort of a return to a more natural state. So yeah, there are these flyer campaigns that sort of push this anti-company agenda. It's really disappointing to see this on Boo. Like, he was so much smarter than this stupid conspiracy shit.
So am I correct in my understanding that the company is not involved in any sort of colonial overreach into this planet?
She gives you a look like you know the answer to that question, and you know that the answer is complicated.
Yes.
Again, I realize there are counter arguments, but in my book, stability is not bad.
Stability. That's the answer for number 9 down on the crossword.
She runs to the desk and starts scribbling in the book. They alternate meal prep with the supplies in Zestino's kitchen. They leave the apartment only once to visit the shared apartment complex facilities in the dead of night. They talk about the setup. Zestino is convinced there's more to this than her delayed paperwork. She's confused but not surprised by Boo. Vynos wonders why them, and if, somehow, whoever is behind this can know that circumstances have changed. And if so, their hopes about staying put might be in vain. As is often the case, only time will tell. Merkis, Beta, Oat, and Remy, you leave the embassy and you walk back to the car and you type in the address, and it's far enough away that it will roll you there on the tracks that surround Nolaster, and it drops you off at the widest part of Nos, which is sort of northeast of the city. Sure enough, it points to an intersection between a set of roads where ostensibly Zestino Novelle's flat is. It's more residential here on Nos. This is one of the 2 residential peninsulas. It's starting to get kind of late. The sun hangs low. It's getting a little golden. It's actually kind of nice on the bayou. It's the way that it hits the tall grass and the rippling leaves, and you can hear sort of the shipping channel in the distance and some of the boats. The street lights blink on as you're walking through this neighborhood. People are out walking around, and you take a left and a right and a left and a right, and you get to what you think is Zestino Novelle's apartment. It's on the 2nd level of a 5-level arrangement of skiffs. It is painted mostly gray, kind of very dark, almost black gray. You can see on the door there's also a mailbox. There's a few letters inside of it.
The lights are on, you said?
We're here.
There's a single window that peers in, and it's got a heavy black curtain that's drawn, so you can't see
Merkis
inside.
wants to open the mailbox. Can he open the mailbox?
Yeah, absolutely. It might be a little tall, but yeah, you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah, just reaching in, like tiny arm.
Yeah, there's a single letter inside. It's got a handwritten address on it, and it says Zeshno Novel and the address that you're standing in front of.
This is the right place.
Well,
All right, well, Remy fucking knocks on the door.
It rattles, and you can hear the rattle sort of like ring through the apartment, but there's no answer.
Beta whispers to the group, so are we storytellers or we're just who we are this time, right?
All right, guys, I'm going to do the thing that I should have done before. And Remy closes his eyes and uses open mind.
Ooh, what's open mind?
What's that? What's that?
So open mind is you may burn 4 grit to communicate with any being, intelligent or not, biological or informatic, for 1 minute. If you do so, the ancient things beyond time and space see you and send 1 minor emissary to meet you within 24 hours.
Oh, shit.
Great.
This game is wild.
Does it say anything about having to know who or where the person you are trying to... Great. Okay, perfect.
Whoa.
Yeah, Remy has a bunch of stuff that I just haven't used yet. And I guess you guys just see nothing. He just closes his eyes. Zeshno, where the fuck are you?
Oh my God, Remy.
For a second, you don't hear anything.
Should we knock?
For another second, you don't hear anything. You maybe hear Oat knocking from what feels like a great distance. But then you hear a voice, a female voice, like it's inside your own head. And it goes, I'm inside, but don't come in just yet. Not yet.
What are you doing in there?
Hold on. This is weird. I know it's weird. I'm with Vynos. He's fine. He speaks very highly of you.
You have him.
I need you to use your charge power to blast open the door.
Okay, how do you know I can do that?
Vynos told me, and I'll explain
He
when
shouldn't
you're
be telling
inside,
people
but
that.
you did it before, so you have to do it again now.
Oh.
Merkis is leaning over to Beta. What's happening? I have no idea. Do you know what Remy is doing right now?
Oh, no, that I don't, but I think we're deciding what type of knock we should knock on the door with. You know, like a stern one or a light knock. Is that right, Oat?
Yeah, I think like just a standard knock. We want a knock that doesn't say anything, doesn't commit us to any sort of attitude.
All right, Zeshno, I'm going to let you go. Bye? And I guess Remy gets up and blasts the fucking door open.
As we're talking about what kind of knock we're gonna...
How?
Well, that's one way to open the door.
Knock, knock.
Shit.
Oh.
You all walk in through the front door. This is Zeshno Novel's apartment. It is small. The walls are covered in posters and artwork. There's a small writing desk directly in front of the door. There's a bed in the middle, in the back, and a small kitchen all the way to the left. There's a kind of brown tarp mound of some kind piled up in the back left of the room near a jeweler's desk. It doesn't smell great in here, and you can see in the center of the room there's what looks like a large dried blood stain. A medium-sized, darker-skinned woman in a baggy blazer and black work pants stands behind the huge blood stain. She's got long, scraggly, dark black hair with these wide patches of gray. She has her hands up. Not in surrender, but in kind of like celebration, like welcome. It's good to see you, even though you've never seen this person before. Nick, where's Vynos? What's Vynos doing when everybody comes in?
Vynos is at the table, waiting, finishing, a couple of things on the crossword puzzle, just double checking. He's actually, really relieved. And he's like, oh, good. I knew you'd be here. Ah, yes. Are all of you okay?
Vynos! Oh, my man!
Merkis is stern, pursing lips, and goes to shut the door.
There's no door.
Oh, you blasted it. Oh, sorry.
There's a door.
You can still go to shut it.
You can still close it. It's just, not going to like fully shut. It's not going to click.
Okay, yeah. Merkis just makes any kind of attempt to like conceal what's going on inside, and just makes his way over to Vynos, grabs his elbow like a Lord of the Rings handshake. Merkis looks very visibly different. He has 5 o'clock shadow. He's standing up straight, kind of has a serious hardened face now.
Merkis.
Vynos, we were worried about you.
Oh, Merkis? What happened to Merkis? You a Viking now?
I am Merkis.
Vynos, Remy's crouching over the bloodstain. Yeah, Merkis became a man, dude.
I've seen some things.
Merkis killed a guy. Merkis fucking killed a guy.
Oh my goodness.
I was so proud.
Indeed, it's true. But I'm just very glad to see you and that you had followed some kind of protocol. We were expecting that you were going to meet up with us at any company outpost, but I guess you're here.
Sorry, that's my fault. I told him that we can't leave. We couldn't leave until you got here.
I don't understand at all. I'm just so glad you're alive, man. Come here, give me a hug. And Vynos, as Oat goes to hug you, you see that his tux jacket, the shoulder of his tux jacket on his right arm is in tatters, blood-stained tatters. And where his right arm used to be, there is a sort of mechanical plug that has been grafted into his shoulder. And hanging out of that plug is a sort of wildly waving, chaotic Waiting arm. There's a Bugman arm sort of flapping there out of that metal plug. And he goes to hug you, and the hand instead just sort of slides up your face a little bit and then lands on your shoulder.
Goodness gracious. Oh, Oat, what is this new appendage that you've graced my face with?
I almost died, Vynos.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was incredible. I got shot with a cannon.
Oh, God.
And it took my arm off. It was just, we were all breathing pink mist for a minute. And Remy ate a guy, and Beta saved my life. And then Merkis says the reason we got out of there alive, I think. It's been tough without you, man. Oh, put her there.
Oh, well, and Vynos gives him another big hug. Well, at least you're all still alive. I had many worries about not being there to help. We had some time difficulties and things happened, but I'm glad that we're all together now.
So
Why did you vanish?
We're calling them time difficulties now?
Yeah, what? I had to lay unconscious the whole day while they put the socket and the bug arm on me.
Yes, you disappeared from the beach.
Beta slowly is walking up to Vynos very slowly and stops like inches from his face and says, "Where were you?"
Beta, what is this? How did your quartering go?
What?
Remy runs up and pulls Beta back. Don't do it, Beta. It's not worth it. He's not worth it.
Quartering? What? You think we were going around having fun and games at festivals? We were looking for you.
Well, I couldn't come back. I just have to tell you that the way things unfolded in time required a few wrinkles, and the best I could do to keep us all safe was to stay here with Zashdano. I hope that my absence wasn't too much of an inconvenience, and it looks like it was, and I apologize for that.
Hold up a minute. Beta was in the quartering?
Would we know about the quartering?
I mean, from town, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the man at the front, at the border would have had roughly the same conversation, and there still would have been a bunch of people around, and yeah.
Well, no, I was inquiring about what happened with the quartering. It could have gone any number of ways.
Hold on, back up. You said
Yes?
time difficulties. What exactly, in your perception, happened?
Zestino, who has been watching this reunion from afar, realizing that she does not have a part in this and that she should let these friends see one another for the first time in a couple days after what have apparently been some harrowing events, arguably on either side. Has taken a seat at her writing desk, at her work desk. And when you ask sort of what they mean by time difficulties, what Vynos means by time difficulties, she stands up and she walks over to Vynos, kind of pats him on the shoulder, looks up at him because he's much taller than she is, and she says, "Your friend Vynos disrupted causality to save my life."
Well, next time, leave a note.
Can't beat that logic.
Really cannot beat that much.
Vynos. You made a change in time?
Well, who did what? It doesn't matter, does it? What matters is none of us could tell anyone about it. Let's promise that to each other now.
So you're not going to tell us what happened in the other timeline, the one that you disrupted?
The timeline I disrupted doesn't exist and never existed.
Okay.
Is this a weird way? What? Is this a weird way of saying y'all have just been doing it this whole time? Is this like a...
No, this isn't me covering up for us doing it.
I don't know.
The smell in this apartment is that of a dead body, not of 2 days of coitus.
You disappear for 2 days. I call out to the universe, risking my fucking brain. Blast the door open, and you're just here, and it smells bad. I was worried. Oh, hold me back.
Okay, well, obviously...
Oat is trying to hold you back. The arm is literally going backwards behind him.
Honestly, all of you, I'm glad that you're relatively safe and unharmed. I can only tell you that there are much worse things that could have happened doing what I felt I had to do at that time. It sounds like you met those pirates and you handled them and even grew a bit, he winks at Merkis, from that experience.
I liked Merkis before.
Well, I did too, but I also like him like this.
Merkis has arms crossed and spits on the ground.
Now he's like us. That's fucked up.
Oh, Zestino looks at Merkis like, who's this punk?
Of course this was going to happen to Merkis eventually, right?
Do you want to know how it happened?
Mm-hmm.
Merkis, tell him. It was brutal. I loved it.
I had no choice. I was hiding in the footwell of the ambalier, and I heard the cannon go off, and Oat was just on the floor in a pool of blood. I had to do something, so I grabbed the sheet, the metallic sheet that got covered over the ambalier, and ran at the Mulrook, enveloping him like a little cigar. And tackled him and beat him with my bare hands.
Oh, goodness gracious, Merkis.
It was so bloody.
And now Merkis, I don't know if Merkis has like a torn piece of fabric tied around his forehead like Rambo.
Oh my goodness gracious, Merkis. Wow, you really have grown quite a good deal. I'm sorry that you had to do that, but I can only tell you that Mulric only had murder in his heart. He tried to kill me once before in the past at the same time.
Okay, look, I don't understand the 20% of what is going on here, but can we just have this lady sign the paperwork and then go home?
Well, I'm afraid, Oat, it's more complicated than that. There is a chance
that sucks.
Yes, well, Oat, I understand it sucks, okay? We've been living here for 2 days with a dead body, all right? I'm sure it doesn't smell good.
I'm sorry. Have you had to stay inside for 2 days?
Yeah, okay, you're right. That's fair.
The arm is going...
That's fair. I'm looking at your arm now, and I understand that's definitely fair, and I apologize.
I don't hate it. I love having a weight on this. Actually, there's a lot of cool stuff about it, too. And, once I get control of it, it looks sexy. I look like I'm cool. But, maybe I would have preferred to stay in a room for 2 days. Let's just let her sign the paperwork, and then we can go home.
Well, now that it's out, I'll just say that the only alternative was just Donna would have been dead, and we would have been possibly framed for the crime of her murder.
Hold on, Donna?
Zashdano.
Oh, they have a nickname for each
There's
other
a pet name. I heard a pet name.
Okay, that's enough of that, all right?
No, it's not even enough.
They did coitus! They did coitus!
You didn't just disappear. You left our timeline.
Beta is once again up to Vynos' face and said, "You got a girlfriend?"
Oh, Beta. Merkis is restraining Beta now.
Zestino is, as you are re-arriving at the romance subplot, she is laughing and shaking her head like this is ridiculous. And she looks at all at you and she says, "Friends, he is not my type."
Not even once. There was a dead body. That's sexy.
That isn't sexy to anyone but you, okay, Remy?
Whoa, Remy.
The
Remy,
energy
that's not
has
sexy
shifted in the room.
I felt it too, Oat.
What did you do with the dead guy anyway? Why does it still smell so fucking bad in here?
It's a dead guy, all right? Everybody else thinks it smells bad.
Yeah, but where is he? I see a blood stain.
We shoved him in a corner and covered him with some coats, okay? We're tired of looking at him.
Seshino puts her arms up and says, okay, just to be clear, I assume that you are here because of the trade deal
Yes.
that I have been holding up. And when you say she should sign it and you can go home, what you are referring to is this trade deal. And she holds up a stack of papers from her desk that Vynos, you have flipped through, you know well. And she says, what I can tell you for sure is that I'm not signing this. I was not going to sign it before. I'm definitely not going to sign it now that it seems like someone is trying to kill me. I'm not going to tell you all what to do with your lives. If you want to leave here and you want to wash your hands of this, that's fine. But I want to know why someone wanted me dead for a trade contract that, yes, I was providing some, difficulty in having it progress, but there are a lot of other ways they could have done this. So there's something that they're trying to do. I don't know what it is. If you want to help me try to figure it out, that would be great. But if you don't, I understand.
My friends, I think the Saffron Anak said he was going to do some really bad stuff if you didn't get her to sign the paperwork or whatever.
Well, technically, he only asked us for information. We didn't have to have the deal go through.
Wasn't there an implied threat?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely there was an implied threat.
There's definitely an implied threat, but my understanding of it was we were supposed to find out why she wasn't signing the papers, not necessarily deliver him to sign paperwork.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Dono, so Vynos has absolutely made it clear what our position in this is and why we can't just let it go, right? You've been here 2 days. He's presumably told you what was going on.
He let me know that you have effectively been blackmailed, as I understand, by the Saffron Anox. Yes, that is why you were sent here, to find out what was going on with me, but that you were in another timeline that I know that you have not experienced. So it's hard for me to convince you that this is important. You might not have a strong reaction to this, but in another timeline you came and I was dead. To me, that sounds like you've been set up twice.
The double setup.
And if I were you, and I'm not, so fair is fair, I would want to know who put a target on my back, maybe twice.
I mean, look, personally, I don't care which way this goes. I'm just happy to be here. This has been fun. If it's going to get a little freaky, if we're going to do some detective work, I'm into it. If you want to just murder her and get back to the spin thing, I'm down for that too. But just let me know what we're doing.
I just want to say, from the GMing perspective, all of these are viable options. You could just kill Zeshtino now that you've met her. You could just leave.
Merkis has been contemplating like a serious Sean Connery face and pulls the letter out from a pocket. It says, "This arrived for you." And before he offers it to her, he says, "Paperwork. It looks like so far on this trip we've disobeyed paperwork. How do we get out of this, everyone?"
I mean, like I said, we could murder her. We could also murder the people who were trying to murder her. We could also go back to the Saffron Anox and try and murder him. I feel like there's going to be a murder. And, it could, Beta, what do you think? I mean, this could go either way. We're already here. She's alive. It feels like inconvenient to make her dead. And I'm kind of interested.
No one else is thinking that we should murder her, all right? So you could just remove that from your
exploring
table.
All the possibilities. But it seems like we are getting set up, so we might want to explore that.
Wait, how are we getting set up?
As if in answer, the front door of the apartment rockets open, just gets pushed in violently. It clatters against the wall, and you can see the top hinge even separates a little bit. Go ahead, Taylor.
Like the door had already been blown open.
Yeah, I know, but but Merkis had pressed it shut, right?
Right.
Yep.
Did I understand that correctly?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
So now the door has been double molested. Yes.
Twice baked.
Double jeopardy.
It is a twice baked door. Yes. And 3 Nolastrian guards come in, and you recognize their dress from having seen them when you went through the checkpoint entering Nolaster. There is a human, a Molruk, and in the front, a Hannah, which I don't think you all have seen yet. They're exceedingly rare. A Hannah is a kind of semi-indestructible, sapient, ceramic clockwork murder robot made 10,000 years ago by nobody knows.
Of course.
There seems to be a finite number of them, and they show up every once in a while, and they are all canonically insane. The Hannah is up front. She has a laser pistol drawn, and the two behind her have clank rifles leveled. They enter very quickly. The Molruk shuts the door again behind him. Their guns stay up, and the Hannah asks,
"Someone from the company called a report in. There's apparently a missing fighter murdered here. Does anyone know anything about that?"
Oh, that's how we're getting set up. I'm not armed. And Oat's left hand goes up and his right hand goes right down to the floor.
You are now leaving Float City. Thanks for listening. If you like the show and you want to help us keep making it, head on over to patreon.com/Fun City Ventures. $5 a month gets you access to a whole other show we do called Fun Chatty. It gets you access to our rad as heck Discord full of very smart, very nice, very weird nerds. It gets you access to music, playlists, and more. It is a wild deal. You know you wanna. Get on in here. Patreon.com/Fun City Ventures. And of course, thanks to all of our current patrons for help keeping this ship afloat.
Hi, I'm Bijan Steven, and I play Remy Tester on Float City. You can find me online on Twitter at Bijan Steven, BIJANSTEPHEN, on Twitch at the same name, and on Instagram at Bijan Cakes, BIJAN Cakes.
I'm Jen Della Vega. I play Merkis Imeldar. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Randwiches. That's the word sandwiches, but replace the S with an R.
This is Shannon Odell. I play Beta Combat. You can find me on social at Showdell.
Hello, this is Nick Guercio, and I play Lux on Fun City and Vynos on Float City. You can find me at Nicholas Guercio on Twitter and in Guercio on Instagram. You spell Guercio Guercio.
I'm Taylor Moore, and I play all the cool, interesting characters. You can follow me at taylor.biz.
My name is Mike Rugnetta. I am your GM, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mike Rugnetta. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Fun City Ventures. Float City is played in a soon-to-be-released system called Still Fleet, which you can find on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon at Still Fleet. This episode of Float City was recorded at various locations around Brooklyn, New York. It was produced, edited, and sound designed by me, Mike Rugnetta. Pixlriffs, come hither and see the opening morn. Image of truth, newborn. Doubt is fled, and clouds of reason. Fun City's music is by Sam Tyndall. Remy's flute playing is by Jake Fridkiss. Our art is by Tess Stone. Our Discord mods are Olivia Goulin, Kelly McHugh, Kit Pulliam, and Kestrel. And the voice of Artemis is Molly Templeton.